Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Day 2 of our 7th Annual Theodore Roosevelt Public Humanities Symposium here on the campus of Dickinson State University. I hope you were here last night, many of you, to hear our keynote speech by Dr. Jeffrey Osler from the University of Oregon. It was outstanding and set the table perfectly for the kind of discussion we're going to have all day. I know we have some students here from the surrounding area. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Let me just say a couple of quick housekeeping things. We are tweeting this, and we have the capacity to not only tweet, and I'll give you the hashtag TR12, but we're also streaming this, and if people are watching us from far away across North Dakota or across the United States or anywhere, you can send in questions on our Facebook site. Just go to Theodore Roosevelt Center, find the Facebook site, and if you send us a question, we'll try to relay it up to the stage in the course of the conversation today. So we're using the best emerging technology to get legs for our symposia. You know, Dickinson's a fairly far away place for many Americans. We're glad for those of you who have come long distances to be with us again, but people can join in electronically, and we're delighted to have that capacity. So it's hashtag TR12 for the Twitter site, and then just go to the Facebook site for the Theodore Roosevelt Center, and you can post a question for any of our speakers, and we'll relay it and try to get it as part of the proceedings here today. Before I go on, I want to just introduce the president of Dickinson State University, D.C. Costin. He has been a great friend and advocate of the Theodore Roosevelt Center. He has to, unfortunately, leave to go off to something else today, but he wanted to come and greet everyone, so please welcome President Costin.
Well, good morning and welcome to another exciting day in the Theodore Roosevelt Symposium spectrum. These are truly wonderful and special events, and as I commented last night, the Roosevelt Symposium is truly one of the highlights on the Dickinson State University calendar each year. And I joined Clay in saying welcome to all of you. As I look across the audience, there are certainly people here from very close by and from very far distant. I had the opportunity just a moment ago to renew a friendship with a former member of the Legislative Assembly in North Dakota who's from the eastern side of the state. We have guests from Colorado and throughout, and it's wonderful that all of you come as explore the influence of Mr. Roosevelt. I see a number of Dickinson State University students, many of them in the Theodore Roosevelt Honors Leadership Program. I see them with notepads out. I assume that this is helpful in their studies as they move forward, that their being here is important to their progress. Certainly they're learning many things. We're also very pleased that a number of students from high schools in the area have joined us, and as I understand, we have students from Beach, South Hart, and Richardson-Taylor with us. Thank you for being here. I would be remiss as a university president if I didn't say we would like you to spend some of your time once you've left high school with us. So we invite you to come back for a more permanent bit of time at Dickinson State. I'm especially pleased that the teachers that have brought them, Rod Merkel from Beach, Megan Emmard from South Hart, and Craig Grundhauser from Richardson-Taylor, I'm really pleased that all three of them are Dickinson State University alumni. It is an interesting thing, and it's a part of what we're talking about. And I have said it and have yet to be challenged. Someone may challenge me, but I know of no other region in the United States where as high of a proportion of the public school faculty and leadership come from a single institution as we've got in this region. So we are looking at how we engage with our alumni to prepare better our future students to come to Dickinson State and have great success. Wonderful things happening. Those of you from North Dakota know that the Hess Corporation has invested deeply in helping that process. We have worked closely with the local Educational Association, and have received one of the first of the 4 grants in the state to improve those relationships between universities, schools, so that as students transition from high school into college, or if they move on into the workforce, they're ever better prepared. Those kind of some of my comments. Something that occurred to me this morning, and probably among your speakers, you could you may ask the question. It's certainly something. What little I understand of Mr. Roosevelt's personality, how pleased might he be that still, this long after, you've got events like this that are exploring. Dickinson State is in the 7th one and is far from running out of topics. I believe Mr. Roosevelt would be very, very proud to know that he's still having influence. I wish you well at the rest of this. I'd be remiss if I didn't say be here tonight for the Chautauqua event. You'll hear more about that. It is going to be wonderful fun, and also the renewal of a grand American tradition. Have a great conference, learn things, and together we'll move forward. Thank you.
Have fun. Godspeed. Well, I'm sure TR would be pleased with what we're doing, although I'm guessing he would think it's too modest. If ever anyone thought that he would be remembered by history, it's Theodore Roosevelt. Of the 4 people on Mount Rushmore, I'm sure he, A, thinks he's the only one who belongs there except possibly Lincoln, and B, that the size is about right. So Roosevelt wrote posterity letters to people, particularly his children, clearly knowing that these letters would become historically important and writing them for the future. He knew he was a world historical figure, and he assumed that he was the most important historical figure of his time, and in some respects he was. So I'm sure he'd be pleased that we're doing this, but I'm guessing that he would want more oomph than we can provide so far. But just not to lose sight of our first talk, but the Roosevelt Center here on the campus of Dickinson State University is doing a really extraordinary thing, and Sharon Kilzer and I will talk about it again later this afternoon. But we are digitizing, that is scanning, every known letter of Roosevelt or to Roosevelt, every cartoon, every photograph, every piece of audio. There are only a handful, but we now have them. All the films in which Theodore Roosevelt makes an appearance, there are several hundred of those, we're digitizing them. Scrapbooks, diaries, if it can be called Rooseveltian, we are digitizing it. We have electronic scans from the Library of Congress, from Harvard, from the National Park Service, from the Huntington Library, from the State Historical Society of North Dakota, and from a range of other institutions. And our goal is to knit together the most comprehensive Theodore Roosevelt archive in the world, and to make it available free 24 hours a day, every day of the year, from any place on earth to anybody. And what's even more interesting, to make it searchable. So we're doing this thing, and when we're finished, when we have all, whatever it turns out to be, 3 million items or 5 million items, we're not certain, but it's going to be gigantic. When we have all of that, with the technologies that are emerging, by then, sometime around 2020, we will literally be able to store it in the size of an iPad. The storage capacities are unbelievable and improving daily. And think of all of this, that if you took all of those papers and tried to house them, the whole university would be needed for the boxes of Roosevelt. And yet we're going to be able to compress all of that electronically into something perhaps the size of a cigarette box, and keep it transferring forward as new technologies emerge, and make it available to scholars and to K through 12 students and to professors, people writing articles, buffs, citizens, tourists, all over the United States and all over the world. And each year at this time we have an annual Public Humanities Symposium to feature some of the things that we're doing and discovering, but also to bring the best scholars from around the country to Dickinson, North Dakota, to this university and the Roosevelt Center to talk about their research and to talk about the themes that we generate. This year, our theme is the Bull Moose Campaign of 1912. It's the 100th anniversary of the 1912 election, and everything we're doing, in some sense, pertains to that extraordinary and watershed election in American history.